Good afternoon, everyone. We are here at the Bisimoto headquarters, and hopefully this day is nice and pleasant for each and every one of you around the globe. My name is BC Zarioha. I'm here at Bisimoto Engineering, my organization, which we do really cool things with cars and make vehicles that are somewhat exciting, extremely spectacular. And this show is something I put together to allow me to give back to the community because this country has been so great to me. And above and beyond that, when I came here and wanted to learn about vehicles from West Africa, I didn't have the opportunity to have any kind of influence, positive influence from people. Many times I'll ask someone to help me with my vehicle, my CRX at the time, which is a precursor to this Insight behind me. And I was told, just leave it here, pay some money, we'll figure it out. But I was curious about everything automotive, especially when it comes to mobility and racing. And it was very rare for me to find someone, but I did in the name of John Concialdi, and finally with John Shinaga from American Honda. These are people who really taught me the ropes and made me who I am today, or gave me the instruments and fortitude that allows me to be who I am today. So what I do with this format is to give back the same way, being that person I needed when I was younger. Any questions you have whatsoever about technology, I am here to share everything with each and every one of you. So thank you so much. I have Instagram Live here. I have YouTube. Also, yes, there's a Bisimoto YouTube channel where people can come on live and ask me questions as well. I also share on the YouTube channel many cool behind the scenes things that are going on here at Bisimoto and some content around our builds, which is quite spectacular indeed. Hello, Idanez Kurt01. Thank you so much for joining. Chasing Flavors, where have you been? Good seeing you. Hopefully you are doing great. Hello, Leon Hard 991. Appreciate your presence indeed. And let's see here. Who else is here with us? How did you get the money to get started? Said Not Shocked. Great question. So when I graduated from school in engineering, I had a very interesting background where, because of my parents, who are visiting in the next couple of weeks, by the way, because of my parents' influence, I kind of did a lot of things very young. I didn't graduate from high school. I had the opportunity to skip quite a few grades and get into university at the age of 15 to study petrochemical engineering. Didn't learn much in West Africa, so with my parents' blessing, was able to come here to the United States and continue my academia. I went to Students College, and that's where I got my Associate of Arts and Associate of Science degrees in Pure and Applied Sciences. And I continued with my Bachelor in Chemical Engineering at Cal State Long Beach. Now, when I graduated from school, I got into the pharmaceutical research sector. Did that for a few years. Because I love people and also understood the technology, I defected into pharmaceutical sales, made some great money doing that, bought my first house in my 20s, saved up quite a bit. So the key was saving money, investing properly, saving, and using only money I won from races or from sponsors to race my cars. I didn't take any of the money that I made or saved up to put into my passion projects, which were my race cars, or my race car at the time. And then in 2006, when I decided to start Bisimoto, it was a combination of my savings and, yes, taking the risk of liquidating my 401k to then start Bisimoto. And that's how we came to be today. So it was a matter of me saving when there was plenty in my corporate gig and using those resources to be able to fund my need for speed and my ability to have my how should I say, my expertise, or better yet, my passion with the masses. And now we have a team here and we do fun things, and it's really good, Thoughts about the drag race, says Roland Tellem, and I assume you're talking, Roland, about the recent drag race I posted recently. Yesterday, guys, and for those of you who don't know, especially those of you on YouTube, I posted on my Instagram feed, I think on YouTube as well, this drag race by Carwow. Carwow is a UK-based content outfit. They do some amazing things around automobiles, lots of drag racing, some road racing, just really cool stuff where they tend to educate while also entertain. And so it was a drag race I posted yesterday between a Rimac, a beautiful McMurtry hypercar, and also a Red Bull Formula One vehicle. Now, a lot of people loved it. Quite a few people didn't like it because they said it wasn't a fair race. I thought it was quite educational because if you think about it, Formula One cars aren't geared for drag racing. They're geared for high speed, cornering, lots of aero. The gearing is not very akin to like very short bursts of acceleration from a rest. Those cars usually kind of take time to get up to speed, and when at speed, they can achieve amazing feats in terms of mile per hour, kilometers per hour, and they handle like there's no tomorrow. While the Rivian is more of a passenger style hypercar, and the Mobility is like just a full-fledged, amazing, I mean, it did well at hill climbs, it did well at Goodwood in the UK. It's just an amazing, almost kit-like looking car, but it's also a passenger vehicle that any one of us could buy if we had the resources. So I think the drag race was really fun. It showed something that was really exciting where it kind of appealed to a wide audience with the Formula One. And that kind of drew in a lot of people. I think it was very clever. It drew in a lot of people who wouldn't typically look at a drag race between EVs. And the Formula One is almost like a draw or a hook. So in terms of being fair, what would be fair? A twin turbo Callaway, maybe a car from underground racing, racing that's kind of commercially available but modified against those other cars. If it was a petrol car that only made 1,000 horsepower, I don't think that would be fair because the EVs would destroy them. Even if it made 1,600 horsepower, the EVs would destroy them. So my thoughts are that it was a cool, fun race that can show the capabilities or lack thereof, or the benefits, pros and cons of different platforms, but also show that EVs can be a lot of fun and extremely fast as well, without going super crazy or being absolutely not road legal. Because both the McMurtry and the Rivian, not Rivian, I keep saying Rivian, and the Rimac were both roadworthy vehicles. Well, of course, the Formula One is not legal to drive on the road. So I do have another video I'm going to post tomorrow, which will probably satisfy a lot more appetites per se. And I think the results will really shock you. And I think it will really tug on the heartstrings of many of you enthusiasts. So as much as I love what Carwow did, and some people say, well, why won't Carwow even do something that's more relative or relatable? Well, if you do a search for Bisimoto Carwow, you'll see our in-house Tesla Plaid against a 1,600 horsepower twin turbo C8. Both roadworthy vehicles, even though one is not really super legal in all states, but they're both passenger cars, both roadworthy. The Corvette was almost twice the price of the Plaid. And just take a look at that race where there were cars that were, the petrol one had a huge horsepower advantage, and the Plaid, being just a regular zero tailpipe emissions vehicle, just had some minor models of wheels and tire upgrades. So take a look at that, and hopefully that can give you some insight on what could happen when you pick two cars together that should be quote unquote fair, Joe Lyman from Puerto Rico, thank you so much. Appreciate you joining us indeed. Viewing from Texas, says Biggs from DAC. Thank you so much for joining. Appreciate you. Carol's and Pigs, such a great partner. You've been posting some really cool Bisimoto content recently. I really appreciate your support and all the kind words and things you've been doing out there. What are your thoughts on Saab? I love that brand. A lot of people don't know this, but Saab was extremely instrumental in being able to create the turbocharger for us. Started off as a company that did a lot of aerospace and aircraft, and then branched off into automobiles, and were always forward thinking. So I know they're in the Scandinavian area, is where that company was formed, but I've always had appeal for their vehicles, especially from a technology perspective and what they contributed to the automotive community as a whole. So I like Saab as a brand. I never owned one, but I wouldn't mind owning one sometime soon. Were you trying to go live early at 9 a.m., says Olizim? Is this the reason why also show media crashed across the board? Just joking. No, I wasn't trying to go earlier, but I did have a hard time trying to post that this Tech2sDay will happen. Something was happening across the Meta brands. And when I say Meta brands, I'm talking everything from Threads to Facebook to Instagram. Something was going on with the servers where none of us could access, or we had limited access, or it was crashing. It was weird, but it seems to be okay now, I think. Okay, let's see here. Okay, Precision Turbos Gen 2 versus next gen. So I'm familiar with the Gen 1 Precisions. Extra Truck is asking. I'm familiar with Gen 2s, and Gen 2s are a significant improvement over Gen 1s, to whereby for the same inducer compressor dimension, we got a lot more flow. And I think they did some stuff with the aero in terms of the position and shape of the vanes, but also they increased the diameter of the exducers on the compressor side, which is good. The next gen, I've not had any experience with. What I am seeing on my radar, which seems very impressive, are the turbochargers from TurboSmart. So rumor has it that the founder of Precision has gone and joined forces with the team at TurboSmart And whatever technology he had in his back pocket that was just absolutely groundbreaking is now available through TurboSmart. And the cool thing about TurboSmart, those turbos above and beyond performing better than we expect, it sounds really, really good. So even an idle thing sounds amazing. So I'm pleasantly surprised on what I'm seeing from those guys. I myself, I'm a true hardcore Garrett guy. I love Garrett. It's just an amazing turbocharger. And their roots are definitely in OEM and industrial. And they do some really cool stuff. And that technology from racing also trickles down to some of the street applications on the OEM side. So I'm really, really, really by far a Garrett guy. But I've seen some really interesting things coming from the TurboSmart guys. And good luck to them, by all means. Okay, let's see. Can we meet in Germany in 2024? XS Mag or something? Flow topper, that may happen. So as I mentioned earlier in our interaction today, I'm from West Africa, I'm Nigerian, and I tend to go home. And if I ever fly via Lufthansa, I do stop by in Germany. So having the opportunity to stop by and spend a couple of days in Europe, in particular Germany, and their car scene is amazing. If I do that this year, I'll definitely make it well known and we can get together. And maybe I'll plan something with XS Mag. Those guys are amazing. I've been great advocates for the Bisimoto brand as well. All right. Hello, HHWHH Panda. Thank you so much for joining. Appreciate the kind words. Hello, Bilik Bederentin. Appreciate you. Hi, Adam 7689. Appreciate you for joining as well. Ricky, brother, Ricky Unfiltered. Good seeing you, brother. Hopefully you're doing well. We used to run into each other at events all the time in Southern California. It's been kind of crazy with the rains recently, right? But I think it's going to dry up. Hopefully you can make it to the upcoming Porsche Ontario event, which I believe is happening on the 16th of this month. I should be there with a couple of cars in tote. It should be a nice event indeed. All right, let's see here. Oh, thank you so much, Ricky Unfiltered, for buying a badge. That helps a lot. Appreciate you indeed. Motec N, who, by the way, built this amazing Veloster N. And you know what's crazy? My own son, traitor, not a traitor, I'm just joking. My own son found his Veloster N more appealing than mine. Just love like, Dad, that car looks awesome. Better than yours, Dad. But I appreciate him because he does a great job in being able to combine aesthetics and also functionality in the term of technology on his car, making it very fast and very efficient. He says, hi BC, hope all is well. Is there cons to our Hyundai heads since they don't seem to have cam bearings and machined to the head? No. That is very cost effective for the manufacturers to do. And there are ways to be able to get very aggressive camshafts for the application. Having cam bearings seems to be not only at cost, but many times not as efficient. Many of the race cars that I even use, including the engines I use in this car, had very similar standard bearings or journals, where the head, part of the head, aluminum itself, is like the surface where the friction does or does not occur, and it's always lubricated to allow, in other words, the cam journals are part of the head assembly itself, so it's not necessarily a bad thing. Good thing you can seldomly, if ever, spin bearings in it, which is pretty good. If you ever overheat your head and it warps it and creates the journals to be off-centered, it's very easy to be able to use a very nice boring bar and machine that properly and get it true and straight again. So it's not a bad thing. There's no cons to that as far as I'm concerned in terms of efficiency and cost for the manufacturer, and they are serviceable in the event that something goes wrong with the head. All right, let's see. Team No Haven says, I also thought it was a good example of different cars, and he's referring to the drag race thing that I put up recently, where there was a Formula One vehicle versus two different EVs, one being a very high-end hypercar from Rimac, and another one being from the UK, the McMurtry car, which just shattered records at the Goodwood Festival of Speed in the UK. How do you say that? Squan Quirks Garage says, I posed the same question on the video yesterday and would like to hear your opinion. How do you think the race would go with those three cars around a long track such as Circuit des Sahara? Well, those two cars may be a bad example. I mean that. If it was some kind of run-the-mill EV, you'll say, okay, maybe. But believe it or not, that the Rimac, that vehicle is quite impressive, as you may have seen with the guys from the Grand Tour, formerly from the BBC's Top Gear, but one that you should really pay attention to, and I didn't know how to convey that properly without telling everyone to go and educate themselves, that McMurtry was a vehicle, a roadworthy vehicle that was designed for circuit, like to dominate circuit. And it's a rear-wheel drive only, not all-wheel drive. It has a fan assembly, so you may have seen all that, what looked like smoke or debris coming from the back. That's the exhaust of the fan itself that's in the middle and the bottom of the vehicle, which sucks up air and kind of plants the vehicle to the ground. So even being a two-wheel drive, the adhesion to the tarmac is absolutely spectacular. And because of such adhesion, which is absolutely illegal in Formula One, that thing can hug corners at speed like no tomorrow. So without having exact data, because I'm data-driven, if I had to guess, even with the Formula One, I feel that the McMurtry will fare quite well. I saw a lot of comments where people were just thinking that EVs are just designed for drag. That's kind of a very broad brush to paint over all electric vehicles. They can excel very well in a straight line. Very popular vehicles like the one we have, the Tesla Model S Plaid, or even the Lucid Sapphire Air. Those vehicles can excel because of extremely heavy and bulky. They can excel in a straight line very nicely. And with track, they may leave a little bit to be desired, especially with extremely long track or circuit distances. But it's very different with the McMurtry. It's a very different animal. If you have a chance, I'm talking to even you guys on YouTube, go take a look on YouTube and see what the McMurtry has done. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. I'm very happy, Brother Ndebisi, says Gabriel Ndebisi. Love your last name. Thank you so much for joining. And this is on YouTube, by the way. Appreciate you. How long do you think until we start seeing electric turbos like the ones coming from Mercedes-Benz available to someone like Garrett? Will it be the next big thing? A lot of companies are kind of moving away from fossil fuel based. Just my opinion, what I'm seeing from manufacturers, they're moving away from that. There are electric turbochargers that already exist. There are even aftermarket ones that exist. They've not been extremely popular, no matter what. There's one thing about our scene that I don't find very appealing, and that is the fact that we're very slow to adopt. So even though there are many advantages to having an electric motor, power compressor, without the power losses that you may see, to be able to push air into an internal combustion engine, because after all, that's the best way to make power, is to get as much air as possible safely into an internal combustion engine and igniting that mixture appropriately. So an electric supercharger or turbocharger is really just like almost a no-brainer, because the losses that you receive will be much less than, involving an exhaust stream and blocking it to some extent, using an alternator system and whatever increased load that may occur will not be anywhere near what you see the supercharger, which is belt-driven, or a turbocharger where it's literally impeding the flow of exhaust gases. But a lot of us don't play with it. Mercedes has done it. A few other manufacturers play around with it. But it looks like by and large, a lot of companies are really focusing on new, cleaner technologies, being either electric, hybrid to some extent, if they're still embracing some of the internal combustion engine components. And then above and beyond that, some hydrogen technologies. So it seems to be pushing more towards that way. I don't see a ton of companies, OEM companies at least, investing in high performance petrol-based vehicles at this time. How did you get the CRV trailing arms to fit the wagon? Quite easily. It actually had some slight modifications. The CRV trailing arms are slightly longer. So it did bolt up and allowed me to convert to fiber lug, which is pretty cool. So it worked quite straightforward. True talk, I did eventually switch over to standard wagon ones because I did find some locally that gave me a little better fit for my wheels, but it did bolt on, Ravi Shankar, without qualm. Let's see, BC Big Fan says Jaeger Pilot. Yusuf Cayman looking right over there. Is that the one with the carbon wheels? Yes, it is. So if you look over there, it's kind of hard to see, but that is the Cayman with the carbon rev wheels, very lightweight. That company is absolutely amazing. They are the go-to supplier for the Ford GT, some of the high-end Ford Mustangs, and also some Ferraris that come with carbon fiber wheels. They are the OEM supplier, which is pretty cool indeed. So yes, absolutely. Good day, Tech2sDay. Good seeing you. Love your name, by the way, always have. Thanks so much for joining. Make a dump on the boot, says Cedar Flame. That would be quite uncouth of me, wouldn't it? But thanks for asking. Hugo Booth MX, hi, good seeing you, Hugo from Mexico. Thank you so much for joining. It's been a while. Hopefully you're doing well. Good afternoon, Dapper Dabber 710. Thank you so much for joining. I always love when you join the Bisimoto Tech Tuesday. Thank you so much. Ricky, thank you so much again for purchasing. I'm gonna wave to you the first badge. It helps me tremendously in being able to do what I do. Appreciate you indeed. I wanted an automobile with a toilet seat so you can poo in it, says Cedar Flame. I'm sure you can be able to design one yourself and maybe you'll be something that takes off. I highly doubt it. But if you're really in a very difficult place, try an RV. Those tend to come with toilets, water closets, whatever you want to call it. Okay, let's see here. He's just don't mind him. Don't mind him. E92 is Demi. He's just trolling a little bit, which is okay. Turbo Smart, good seeing you. Thank you so much for joining. Appreciate you. I just talked about your new turbos and how amazing they are. They sound great. It is an interesting team up, Team No Haven. I concur. I do like some Turbo Smart as well, Exo Truck. When it comes to my turbocharger applications, that is my controller of choice. For wastegates and blow-off valves, Turbo Smart is my go-to, and I'm really impressed with their new technology in regard to turbochargers. So Garrett is making a hybrid vehicle turbo system. Any thoughts? I haven't seen that yet. Well, based upon what you just educated me, I'll go and take a look and see what's going on with that. Hello, Concreter 3. Good seeing you. Thanks so much for joining. Appreciate you indeed. Let's see here. Garrett was the go-to for old school tuners, but lots of good turbo options out there now. Yay for us. Yes, that's correct. You know, really, how should I say? What's a good way of saying this? Competition breeds benefits for all consumers because it allows people to push the envelope and continue to come up with better and better options. And the one thing I noticed, Team No Haven, and if you're a Honda head, you'll remember this quite vividly, there was always this weird bandwagon effect. I was a hardcore all-motor guy for many, many years. Small displacement, high RPM engines was my go-to. On our upcoming Thursday, which is like my infamous Throwback Thursday, I'm gonna post one of my old videos from drag racing, which shows how exciting that can be, especially for us all motorheads. I was most of the time a David to many Goliaths because I was a single man team with friends who helped out, going against companies, big companies and OEMs, and still they're doing some crazy stuff. But nonetheless, to answer your insight, there was this bandwagon effect I saw from the turbo guys where for a long time, yes, it was Garrett, and then it went to kind of Turbonetics, then Bullseye came in, everyone's Bullseye, just switched over to that, and then it became Borg Warner, and Borg Warner was the way to go, and then Garrett came back in with another series, and that was the one to go to, and then people switched over to Precision, and then it was back to Turbonetics. It was crazy. It was, and I remember even vividly, there was a little bit of, what's that company that's fairly local to us that kind of came in the mix as well. But there were all these organizations that Comp came in and they kind of dominated for a moment, and then Garrett came back, and then Bullseye kind of a little bit, and Borg Warner, and then Turbonetics again, and then Precision came, and everyone's Precision. It's kind of weird. People tend to follow the person who's like the fastest, or the group that's the fastest, and people like get rid of the old turbos, buy new turbos. I've always stuck with my brand of choice and just stayed there, but I continue to see everyone just stepping up to the plate and making better and better things. So, Team No Haven, you are 100% correct, and I appreciate your insight indeed. What's up, Ice Ego? EGO, I think that's how you say it. Good seeing you indeed. Let's see here. The Velo has a nice design. Sure does, Team No Haven. I concur indeed. Talking about the Velosa. Greetings, how did you get the CRV? Oh, we talked about that. I think I just answered that. He's asking how to get the CRV trailing arms to fit the single wagon. It bolted on, it really did. Slight change, so I had to do something with the lower control arm, just an aftermarket one. But it did fit, and I did drive that for a while. Kind of moved my wheels back slightly, and it kind of gave a weird illusion that kind of bothered me because I had ADD around that. And then after a few months, I found a standard RT four-wheel drive rear trailing arms, and I put those on, and that was fine. So that kind of worked, you know? What would be a good replacement for a 2.5 V6 engine? Thinking about a K24 swap boosted Toyota Mark X. Yes, a K24Z would be a great option for you. It's lightweight, has tons of aftermarket support, quite robust setup. I like those a lot. Even there's a wagon right here next to me that has it. By all means, that would be a perfect update to 2.5 V6. So enjoy and keep us posted on how that goes for you. Could you make a 997 turbo cab a stiff track car? Done a build like that? Yes, you can, and I have. You know those center seats I have? Those crazy center seats, we built 3 of them. There's a black one here, a red one here, and Mattel bought the gold one. Those are not Caymans. They started their life off as the 986 Boxster. And the Boxsters, being mid-engine, are just fun, tossable, and very, very forgiving. But they can tend to flex because you don't have that roof over the head that can help with integrity and stability. So what we've done is we've put a proper 6-point cage in all of those, tie them into the suspension components, and then put a carbon fiber Cayman-esque top on it. So if you look closely, you see demarcations on it where, oh, that's a Boxster. Another also giveaway is the side ducts that kind of feed the engine compartment, some cool air. And one side is engine compartment cooling, and the other side is for the induction, for the, for the intake itself. That kind of gives it away. So yes, we've done it. It requires a decent amount of cage, and after that, they are stiff, amazing track monsters. If you get rid of all the, how should I say, accoutrements that exist with the overhead cab assembly and do something like we did with lightweight carbon fiber, you are good. Uzoma Hedier said, give me one car. I've been more than happy to for a slight exchange of resources. I have no objection to that at all. All right, let's see here. Hello, how do you say that? Zara Moradi, 4831. Appreciate the kind gestures. Thank you so much. Good seeing you, Bobstar Racing, back at you. Drive Supra, little man. I've never owned a Supra. I've driven it. I've done some stuff with Toyota, but I've never owned one in-house. But yeah, appreciate your candor. Able 6. I guess it's raining in your area. Stay safe and dry. We'll get some rain tomorrow ourselves. Let's see here. Thumbs up says boosted 1ZZ. Thank you so much. Caden Maxwell, rather late than never. Rather late than be the late. So that being said, that's no problem. When is your Toyota RAAA Plaid video going to come out? I need to post that up. I need to do some editing and put that up. So let's shoot for Monday next week. Let me try and put that up because I want to show you guys some of the cool games we had. I don't want to give too much away. It was quite surprising indeed. All right, let's see here. No more TTE, no more twin turbo EV. Is that a question? It's no more twin turbo EV. I think I know what you mean, Concreter 3. And I'm gonna put some of those concerns at bay. I love going fast. Behind me here, I have a twin turbo Cayman, I have a natural aspirated vehicle right there, I have a natural aspirated flat 4 there, I have a turbocharged inline 4 here, I have an EV vehicle there, another EV next to it, another twin turbo in front of it. I love all type of cars. If you come in the shop, you see a variety of marquees, a variety of propulsion capabilities. And I can appreciate all of them. There are times where I may want to hear the sound of a twin turbo 935. It's here to start up. If I don't start it for a long time, it kind of takes a while to like and start up quite nicely. Well, the EVs are just really amazing, especially the performance EVs. I must make this very, very clear. I could care less about the regular run-of-the-mill slow EVs. I don't care much about them. I can use them as means of transportation. Today I drove a Model 3 long range plus, and that one in particular, standard range plus, Model 3, and that vehicle is a bit sterile. I'll be honest with you. It's a good commuter for me to come to work. I don't remember the last time I touched a fuel pump because I have solar at home and I plug it in, I'm good to go. It doesn't invoke anything exciting for me in terms of being an enthusiast. I also have a Kona 2021 electric. That one is even faster than my Model 3. I can disable the traction control and it can just lay rubber like no tomorrow. Front wheel drive, lots of fun, but still doesn't make me go like, oh, I want to hit the mountains with this thing. On the flip side, I have the Mobi and the K3V. The K3V being my very first performance EV I've ever built, which can turn me on to EVs completely, and that thing is a ton of fun. I've done a bunch of rallies with it. I've done a bunch of car show events with it. I've driven it, I'm gonna drive it today home. It's a great weekend vehicle. It is amazing. And that thing is more fun than I can shake a stick at. And for us in California, it is 100% legal. I don't have to worry about getting pulled over. If I do get pulled over, it's by cops admiring it. So that being said, it is a joy and a blast to drive indeed. So That being said, I haven't given up one set of propulsion for another. I just appreciate both, and at this day and time, find the performance ones a lot more exciting. If I had to choose between a petrol performance and a non-petrol non-performance, of course I'd go with the performance route. But all things being equal, I do like my performance EVs. They are a lot of fun. Talking about the Plaid, even though it does feel a little bit distant, I almost get a joy out of going to the racetrack and spanking V8s that cost twice the amount and make so much noise, and they talk crap to me as I'm in line. Yes, as I'm pulling up, people calling me, oh, you're driving a toaster, or the battery's dead, or you're gonna burn down. People saying all kind of crap to me, and then we get to the line, they pull out a line, and then the few brave souls that line up with me end up getting spanked. And I'm on street tires and they're slicked down. They came on a trailer and I drove there. So I do get a kind of a joy out of that because people are just being upset about it. But when I drive back on the pits, a lot of people tend to, kids especially, were like, oh yeah, Tesla. They kind of root for their Teslas and the newer EV stuff. But I just like that car because it just pisses people off. And I drive up with a parachute. I'm just being difficult and so on and so forth. But honestly, comparing all EVs to a base Model 3 or a Nissan Leaf is akin to basing all petrol cars on a Mitsubishi Colt or a Chevy Cobalt, a factory Chevy Cobalt. It's just, you drive those, or a Corolla. You drive those and that doesn't really do anything else. When I'm talking about a GR Corolla, I'm talking about a standard base Corolla. That doesn't really do anything for you, Thoughts on the push for hydrogen-powered cars from Toyota, says Tim No Heaven. I'll talk about hydrogen in general. I think it's amazing. I like hydrogen as a means of propulsion. In the fuel cell applications, it's okay. When internal combustion engines are used or designed to consume hydrogen, I like those a lot. It gives you, for those individuals who love, or the times that I love, that like maybe the rumble or sound of an internal combustion engine, or I want to hear the blow off from a turbocharged application, or the natural whir of a supercharged application, I want to stay petrol based or internal combustion based. I think hydrogen is a great, wonderful alternative. I believe that. Primarily because I can do that without any guilt. Zero emissions, even with the oil, I can use synthetics, so I'm not using anything that's based upon fossil fuels or something that cannot be very yet sustainable. I'm all for it. And having water as a tailpipe emission, I'm all for it. I'm great. I love it. So I'm not intimate with what Toyota is doing. They're not one of my technical partners at this time. I did stuff with TRD as far back as 2007, 2008, but I haven't done anything with Toyota recently, so I'm not intimate with what they're doing. But as a whole, I love hydrogen. I do. I think it's an amazing option for us. A lot of people try to talk about synthetic fuels. It still puts out oxides of nitrogen, possibly. Oxide of sulfur may be minimized. In its pure form, it doesn't have the same caloric content as standard petrol from the ground. So sometimes you have to add oxygenates to allow it to have a little bit more power. They tend to be a little bit more expensive. And it's still burning hydrocarbons, right? So that's my opinion. Good to see you as well, BB Sippin. Thank you so much for joining this Tech Tuesday. We're having some great discussions here and some wonderful questions, and I appreciate that indeed. One question that we got so often is my thoughts on the drag race I posted yesterday. I'm gonna post another one tomorrow, and hopefully you guys like that a little bit better because it may be a little bit more relatable and quote unquote more fair. All right, Big Elmer, hello uncle, how are you? Hopefully you are doing well. I've known Elmer for quite a few years, or better decades. Ooh, says Concreter 3. That's funny. Did I hit with Bitcoin? No, I did not. Thanks for your passion, amigo, says Cars and Life. Appreciate the kind words. Also on YouTube, I see Portfolio Automotive says opinion on EV controllers and batteries. I play around quite a few. Familiar with the stuff from EV controls, familiar with the stuff from 057, familiar with stuff from AEM EV, and of all of those, I like the AEM EV stuff a lot. And I'll tell you why. This is coming from the fact that, I guess, for those of you who don't know, I'm a tuner. I keep hearing all this noise back here. Anyway, I am a tuner. So because of me being a tuner, I've had the opportunity to really find certain engine management solutions much better than others. Some tuners like simplified ones, like Honda S300s or the standard Flash Pros, which allow you access to so many things, but also limit you from going crazy. I'm the kind of crazy one who love the AEM Infinities, the Motecs, the EQTechs, the M-Trons. The systems allow you access to everything. So therefore, you can really use your expertise to hone in and properly tune a sub the way it should be. Even if there are some disadvantages that exist in the setup, you can overcome those by having access to every parameter you can tune. Let's fast forward to the EV side. A lot of my peer engineers who have not had the opportunity to tune internal combustion engines in the past feel that they should probably bolt in something and have it just go and be perfect. I come from a tuning world and I have no problems, no chagrin whatsoever, even tuning and modifying an electric motor and its controller. So that being said, to answer your question, my opinion is, if you're the kind of EV builder who just wants to close your eyes and not think about things, and want very limited ability to be able to fine tune your setup, think of it as a flash, standard flash, CAN flash, or a factory engine swap. Do that with the 057s of the world and the EV controls of the world. I think Stealth EV also has their own controller. There's some kind of open source stuff out there that I really don't like the safety or lack thereof there, so I'm not all about that. But if you're an enthusiast like myself who likes to tinker and tune to your driving style and to the parameters involved in the chassis itself, AMEV is the way to go. I run their 200 systems, all the money cars here, the 300 systems as well. We have one vehicle going in right now. I love it. I love the stuff because it gives me the ability as a controller to control the setups, So yeah, I hope that answers your question properly, Portfolio Automotive. And if you have any further questions, let me know. All right. Oh, you had a question about the new Dodge EV launched today. I didn't even see it. Ralph Gilles, amazing friend of mine, godfather to my son, posted that it'd be coming out. I totally missed it. I was here working, running around, moving cars around. We're doing some crazy stuff. I totally missed it. So I'm sorry. But I'll look it up and come up hopefully next week with some insights around that new EV. Stellantis is not joking. They're not playing around. Hello, Concretura. Thank you so much for joining. Appreciate you indeed. No prep, collecting souls. Damn, says, I don't know what that means. I may have missed a comment from you earlier. Sorry about the noise in the background. Our neighbors are doing some madness stuff over here. Converting the ICE to hydrogen seems like a great idea. Yes, Timo Heavy, you're right. If you are really just gung-ho about having an internal combustion engine, and by the way, compared to synthetic fuels, you can really set up a hydrogen to put out more output on the same engine, sometimes up to 30% on internal combustion engine than it would on petrol. So it's almost looking like something you would see with an alcohol-based fuel, right? Which is pretty cool, without having to worry about eroding certain aluminum or steel components or having to pickle your system every time you park. So you can get the benefits of methanol without using methanol, right? So that's pretty cool. As for me, I love how electric motors tend to distribute torque. The fact that you can design a setup, a brushless setup, to have 100% torque at 1 RPM is a lot of fun and can do a lot for you in terms of acceleration. If you want to hear the sound, the twin turbo, and I love that word of twin turbos, right? But want to do that absolutely guilt-free, you want to be able to have that opportunity by using a fuel like hydrogen. And that way you only have, just water as a component. I think there's someone here. Do you need help, sir?
Yeah, listen, sorry to bother. We gotta get a truck and trailer out of the warehouse next door.
Okay.
I need a couple of these cars.
Okay, no problem. I'll have one of my guys come out, no problem. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah, so we have a neighbor here, so I have to move some of the cars. And Jonathan's right there, so he can help with that. So that being said, that is something I find appealing. So don't be surprised if you see some of that technology coming out of our stable, because there are clients of ours who still want that. It's just like, keep in mind how torque is distributed in petrol engines. Starts off very low, goes up to peak torque and full efficiency, and falls off very quickly as well. So yeah, that is something that is not as appealing, but I get it. I get the people who really appreciate that and love internal combustion. It will always be around. I just wish that I could share some of my open-mindedness. And by the way, I understand, because I was really against EVs for many years. But nowadays, I embrace all things automotive. If tomorrow, there's some ammonia-based engine or propulsion that's great for the environment, even though combustion ammonia, that may cause carcinogens, huh? Anyway, all right. I don't want to go off on I don't know, you want to go off on a tangent. Claudius FF is asking, how did you learn how to ECU tune? I'll tell you guys the truth. It's a pretty funny story. You guys know AEM, right? AEM that everyone knows and loves. They have engine management solutions, pumps. I just talked about them with their EV solutions as well. Well, AEM used to be a small shop in Compton. They moved to Gardena. And they had an in-house dyno, a Bosch dyno. And they had a tuner, Eric, who used to tune cars. And I had a carbureted CRX at the time. See, that's my, see? Can't even have a conversation because my 935 is making noise out there. Hear that? That's petrol for you. Anyway, I digress. Forgive me, I got distracted by that. So he tuned my car, and on a couple of occasions, my engine got expired. And I was very upset because I was a student. It was very expensive for me to do. And my engine expiring wasn't a lot of fun. And I felt like as an engineering student, how hard could it be to tune? So I started tuning my own carburetor. I bought my own jets. I'll tune on the track, I'll rent the dyno, and I learned that certain fuel ratios give me the most power. And by the way, I had a single wire 0 to 1 volt Hall meter as my wideband or my sensor to see. And I knew that, and it had that 30 demarcations, 10 for lean, 10 for stoichiometry, and 10 for rich. And I knew that when I was in the rich, 2 to 3 bars into it, my car was the fastest. And then when I had the opportunity to play with a Horiba and then to see clear mixtures and then maybe a Motec wideband, I found out that my vehicle really liked 12.8, 12.9 AFRs. So I learned by tuning my own carburetors because people would expire my own engines. Then other people asked me, who tuned your car? I said, I did. Experiment with my own vehicle, right? And they're just like, well, can I bring my car for you to tune? And that's how I started tuning other people's cars. And then when it came time for me to really hone my skills, AEM, same AEM, had a class for EFI tuning training. So Mitch Peterson, great engineer, we still keep in touch. He's even also transitioned to the EV space. I learned from him how to better tune and had the basics of fuel injection down packed with a Series 1 fuel injection. And then another great friend of mine had the opportunity to come on board and assist me in really fine-tuning those particular skills as we started interacting with some tunes from TRD and Scion. And he was just a wonderful, wonderful individual and helped me so much with that. And then to really kind of bring things together, I attended the EFI 101 class with Ben Strader and did some wonderful things there as well. And that kind of allowed me to even expand my horizon further because I had a dyno in-house. So it was a combination of my own experience, influence from AEM EFI training, influence from one of my very, very close friends who helped me significantly. I don't know if he wants me to mention his name. And last but not least, attending the EFI 101 class allowed me to do that. Today, you are very advantaged because there's so many reputable videos online that can help you. The EFI 101 still exists. There's some stuff with High Performance Academy, HPA. They have some good classes as well you can take. So you're in a better position now than I was back in the day when internet wasn't even that popular. We had to learn things from trial and error and try and take physical classes in, live classes to be able to explore that. So it's a little bit more difficult then, much nicer now. So I hope that helps. In case you're wondering, the gentleman who helped me significantly, I hope he doesn't mind me mentioning his name, but his name was Devin Pierce. He used to work with AEM as well, but he really taught me how to get like really great driving drag cars. He taught me that there's a transition horsepower that occurs. Tuning a drag car like a street car makes a drag car faster. Having a smoother, nice map, 3D tuning, he taught me that was paramount. So thank you, Devin. I'll probably give you a call today, then thank you again for allowing me to be a better tuner all across the board, Would you be willing to take a dual cam carbs nowadays? Yes, I appreciate the nuances and the beauty in dual carbs, and it allowed me to be a better injection tuner. So yeah, I'll repeat that because it's very important. Being a master in carburation tuning allowed me to be a better fuel injection tuner. And how do I know this? There are people who just accept like Excel fuel and like, oh, I just need to do that without understanding why or experiencing what happens when you don't have proper Excel fuel, because most base maps in fuel injection already have it in there. With carburetors, when you blip the throttle, just blip it, of course, air is much lighter than fuel, has less mass, so the air travels into the engine faster than the fuel can keep up. The Venturi cannot supply enough fuel to be able to compensate for that gulp of air, and your car stumbles. But when you change your pump nozzle, not only the volume of fuel, but how quickly it gets shot into the cylinder, you can have a proper throttle opportunity where you tip into it and it just goes. And tuning that was also part of carburetor tuning. Or filling up your float bowls, playing on with the float nozzles, also had the opportunity to make sure that you don't run out of fuel when you're flowing it for extended period of time, whether you're road racing or drag racing. So being able to take time mechanically to optimize my float bowl filling up, to optimize my throttle inputs, and being able to have pump nozzle fuel, just made perfect, allowed me to, when I got the fuel injection where everything was just keyboard strokes, I'm like, oh, I know what to do, and made me a better tuner, and made me appreciate a lot more. So yeah, I have no problem, Ninja, having the opportunity to still tune carbs. It's like gardening to me as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, so that's it. Okay, guys, I do have to fly. It's just been a slice of heaven, and I appreciate each and every one of you coming here. Please stay safe. For those of you in LA, it's going to rain sometime tomorrow. Please make sure that you stay dry and drive very defensively. In the meantime, I appreciate each and every one of you. I'll be here same time, same channel next week. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon.